Well, what if your highest priority atom is not on a wedge or a dash? This is the hardest scenario for most people to even try to do in their head. Some of you, like I said, 5% of you might be able to, but I strongly reckon you can never go wrong. If you assemble your model right and you make it the right way, you cannot go wrong. Here's another thing that people make mistakes on. First, we're going to examine double bonds. So this is a double bond. Then we're going to examine what happens if I have longer chains versus shorter chains. And remember, we're going on atomic number, but if the atomic number is the same, then we go next door. So we already know chlorine has a higher number than everybody else. I'm just going to be drawing on this. That's why I'm redrawing it here. Okay, so this is a carbon, carbon, carbon. So they're all the same atomic number. So how do you choose what's next? So my first rule is to look what's next door. So this is attached to another carbon. This is attached to another carbon. And this is just attached to hydrogens. And obviously, yes, there's some hydrogens here as well. But in terms of my tiebreaker, these second set of carbons actually beat the hydrogen. So I have 2 hydrogens and a carbon, 2 hydrogens and carbons. So how do we know what's next door, how to compete? On a double bond, we treat carbon-carbon double bond. So for a carbon-carbon double bond, we treat it equivalently like this. So assuming that there's more things growing here, we treat it as if we're adding an extra carbon. Okay, so this was my group coming off. We treat it as, oh, sorry, not chlorine, another carbon. We treat it as another carbon coming off. So the priority then would be that this carbon technically has 2 carbons attached. So this would be my highest of the 3. So this would be 1. This would be 2. So now to these 2. So between these 2, again, this carbon and this carbon, you look next door. And so we'd go to this being 3 and this being 4. So oftentimes people want to say, well, where's the hydrogen? Isn't the hydrogen lowest priority? It's just by atomic number. So what if I had something that looked like this? We're not going to do this one, but what if our chain just was long? You would again look at what's attached. So both of these have a carbon, and then you go across. Both of them have carbons, and you keep going. Both of them have carbons, and you keep going. Both of them have carbons. And so the tiebreaker is in this one. So you may have to keep going until you find the point of difference and what makes them different. All right, so now let's answering the second part of this question. So number 1 is, what if you need to figure out multiple groups that are similar? So we said this was second priority, third priority, and fourth priority. But what if our first priority is not on a wedge or a dash? Definitely not on a wedge like we want it to be. We would need to assemble our model exactly like that. So please do that. So in this classwork question that you have, we're going to assemble it exactly like that. So I'm going to make sure that my chlorine is flat in front of me. So I'm using my hand to show you some perspective. So chlorine, and then number 3 should be my blue. So I'm going to make my model. So if you may need to rearrange one of the models you pre-made. So red is going to be flat in front of me, right? So again, I'm using my hand for perspective, flat in front of me. So my camera is my eyes. My blue is to the left, but flat in front of me. So you want to hold it flat. And then it says that my white is behind me, so that doesn't work for our model because we need number 2 to be back. So I'm going to rearrange my model. So, or grab your other orientation model. So when I grab this, my green is back behind me, so I'm using my model and the shadows to show you perspective. What is coming towards me is the methyl, which is pointing up. So I'm going to grab that methyl, rotate it to make my little bouquet, and go red, green, blue, and I see it goes clockwise, red, green, blue, and so that is an R. So use that for the rest of your assignments, for the question and to help you with other assignments.